Welcome to another segment of provocative conversations destined to provoke further thought and spark greater questions regarding God, church, and the religious establishments of both the past and the present. I am the proud heretic, Mr. Provocateur himself. Hello, I am Mr. Provocateur himself, the proud heretic. Continuing on from our subtopic regarding the pandemic season, the prophetic utterances that were given to me, or as it relates to the president and the politicians of America. We stopped off on the date June 3rd, where I've extracted certain things that were divinely heard regarding the president of this divided states of America and the politicians of this divided states of America. As I am recording this, so much is happening in relation to the political world here within the United States and throughout the world as a whole. There is a divine uproar going on throughout the world. Those of you who are not listening to it, those of you who are not looking at it, those of you who are somewhat looking at it and somewhat listening to it, but you're standing off and apart from it as though it will not affect you, as though it does not relate to you, or it's not relative to you, your life, your household, your country, or just your situation. If you are looking at it, listening to it from a standoffish type place within your mind, within you, within your consciousness, you will be amongst those who will be floored, if not taken out by what is getting ready to occur. I dare say what is actually already occurring. It just may not have reached your email address. It may not have hit your social media account. It may not have gotten to your physical address. But give it time. Give it time. First of all, it's divine, and no one is exempt from this season. Not you, not President Donald Trump, not any of the politicians of this divided states of America under the lie of being united. People say, well, can't we just all get along? The answer is, unfortunately, and in another sense, fortunately. Unfortunately, no. And fortunately, no. Unfortunately, no, because there's no way that we can go further into what God has for us as a people, as a united people, as a world, as a united world, or as a universe that works in conjunction, in step with itself. So no, we can't move forward. We can't get around this. And it's unfortunate because it means that we're going to go through a great lot of upheaval. It means that we are going to experience days as we've never experienced them, and as we've never even fathomed experiencing them here within this divided states of America, divided and stolen states of America. Yet at the same time, we're fortunate that this is occurring because all of this is shifting us, moving us into a new order, a new universal order, a new world order. Oftentimes, you won't even know that you need order until you realize the disorder, the disorderliness, the fact that everything is out of order. And you don't really know that everything is out of order until it just no longer works, or you see something different, you experience something different, and then you realize what you were working with all the while was not order, but it was disorder. It was disorganized. It had no order. There are probably two camps here, perhaps three, two camps here in this divided states of America. The camp that says there's nothing wrong with the order here. Everything is good. Look, everything is working. Why are you all disturbing what is actually working? But the truth of the matter is, it's not order. It's what we've come to accept as order. Some have embraced as order because it worked for some, but it's not working for most. And then you have a camp that realizes that everything, just about everything, or many things at the least, is out of order. It's not order. It's not correct. It's not just. It's not fair. It's not right. It's not true. It's not founded upon truth. Its end goal is not for right or truth or justness or equality. And because of that, we have this pandemic season before us. Moving into this here, I want to give a small definition of what a politician is. So we won't you won't, the hearers won't misconstrue what I'm talking about, who I'm talking about when I say politician. Simple definition. I never studied the political area, the political arena. I cared less about it. I had too many other pressing issues in my personal life to even whatever. Perhaps that was what God was using. Those diversions within my personal life were what God was using to get me or to keep me away from the political arena so that I won't have a dog in the fight now that I'm where I am today. I have no dog in the fight. I have no personal allegiance to any particular group in the political arena. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a whatever the other third party is. I don't care about that. I'm not into that stuff. I am one, and anyone who knows me personally knows that I push the sovereignty of God. Well, in the sovereignty of God, it doesn't leave you much with politics of man. So I never got into that stuff at all. I wish that I had some time at times to put toward that area, but I'll pass. A politician is a person active in party politics. And that's all most politicians have been having, especially under this new regime. They've been having a party. A politician is a person holding or seeking an office in government. You know, you have local government, and then you have state government, or some people list that as local government. And then you have federal government, or that Washington stuff, that DC stuff, that White House stuff. That's amazing to me, though. It's very interesting if you think about it. The White House was built by black hands. The White House built by black hands, yet other hands, other minds rejected when a black president went into the house that his forefathers built. The White House, built by black hands, is somehow establishing righteousness, is somehow seen as the pillar of righteousness for this divided set of states called America. The White House being portrayed by the church world, I'll be dealing with you soon, church. The White House being perceived and pushed rather by the church house as being the lighthouse for the divided states of America. When the White House was filled with slave masters of the brighter color who built their house, the White House, through their hands of oppression against black folk. The White House, or those within the White House, never righted the wrong done to those who they forced to build a house that they themselves could never live in. And now somehow the White House is seen as the lighthouse for the world. Well, all of that's getting ready to be erased. President Trump, you politicians of this divided set of states called America. Politicians, their purpose, their support, they propose, they so-called support, and they create laws or policies that govern the land or the divided states of America in our case. And by extension, they govern and lay out policies for the people. Unfortunately, politicians seem, especially where we are right now today, politicians and even the president, who again claims that he's not a politician, but he lies better than politicians, deceives more than any politician has ever been able to accomplish and thrive at the same time, seemingly grow if indeed he's been growing. Politicians, they're supposed to govern the people with laws and policies, but the very laws and policies that they enforce are the very laws and policies that they themselves ignore, that they themselves put themselves above the laws and policies that they create. Broadly speaking, a politician can be anyone who seeks to achieve political power. See, that's the ultimate goal of a politician, political power in any bureaucratic institution. Politicians are people who are politically active, especially in politics. Positions range from local office to executive office to legislative offices and judicial offices. So now you have the city commissioner, city council, you have the city manager, you have the mayor, you have sheriffs. Well, we'll go into them, but you have the governor, you have the legislative branch, you have the judicial offices of regional and national governments, you have state legislature and all, you have those in the Supreme Court, and then you have those in the higher courts within each state. You have certain officers, enforcement officers, such as sheriffs, who are also political and politicians and are set in place by the powers that be, by those who govern. So when I say to the president and the politician of America, I am speaking to all of those officials specifically, and to all who fall up under them and who are connected with them in some form or fashion. Really, a politician is anyone, well, I'll say politicians are people who are skilled with dealing with people. They know how to deceive you. They know how to lure you in. They know how to make you believe the bullshit. Those are the people that I'm talking about. So they're skilled at dealing with people, ignorant people they love. Okay. Skilled at dealing with people or using the situation at hand to gain an advantage of and an open door to and over. Politicians take the issues of the day, make them political, use them as their stepping stone to get to their next level of power, their next level of whatever goal it is that they have personally. They use the issues of the day, the issues that are pressing to people. Now, they don't just take any issue, okay? They only take issues that are lucrative to them, that are beneficial to them. They're not going to take on certain issues like gun laws. They're not going to take on those issues. They're not going to take on issues like equality and justice. No. They're not going to take on those issues because those issues are not beneficial to their cause, to their individual personal cause. They'll take on abortion, but then they won't take on police killing certain races more so than they do any other race. They won't take on those type issues. They pick and choose what's beneficial to them. It's almost like how boxers do today. Boxers, professional boxers, they get to pick and choose for the most part who they fight. They match themselves up with their opponent to see if, do I have the skills and the quickness or whatever to fight that one? Oh no, I don't. I don't want him then. I don't want, because he might beat me and he, that'll be a loss on my record, and I don't want that. I want something that I know. So I need to know that I can go in here and dominate. Now I know that I might get knocked out because he may get a lucky punch or whatever. But if all the cards are stacked right, which they should be, because I'm choosing this fight, I should come out the winner. That's how politicians are. They only want the fight that they know that they can win the situation, or they can gain the upper hand, or gain whatever it is, or attain whatever it is they're trying to get to, or to get at, or to get from that situation. Well, God says that this is what's going to be in regards to the politicians and this president of this divided states of America. Again, no dog in the fight other than right versus wrong. No dog in the fight other than justice and truth coming forth, being established. No dog in the fight. On June 3rd, 2020, God said to me, and you politicians need to realize this, that the people of this current movement that is going on throughout this divided states of America, the people are moving in a right direction. Now, I know you politicians say, well, no, they're not moving in the right direction. This is not the direction that we would have it to go. But this is not your story, sir or ma'am. They're not moving in the right direction because they're telling us that we're going to have to get rid of our systems, and we're not going to get rid of our systems because our systems benefit us too much. Well, you're wrong there, because they are coming for your systems. Why? Because God is coming for your systems. The people's direction is divine. So do not think, politicians, president, do not think that somehow you're going to stop these movements and you're going to police the states and you're going to bring in masked, armed individuals with no badges, no license plates or anything, and then you're just going to come and take over. You're not going to take over like that. It's not going to be that simple. It's not going to be that easy. This is not the way this is going to be. The divine hand of God is at work in this here, and you're not going to be able to stop it. No, you will do a good job at making some noise. You will do a good job at hurting a few people and even killing more. But the bottom line is you're still not going to stop the movement, because the movement is of God, and the movement is going in the right direction, not the wrong direction. Church, you got an issue with that as well. And I have an issue with you as well, as a result of all of that, and as a result of all that I've heard God say to me. But I won't talk to you now, church. And I'm not talking to brick walls. Well, actually I am, because when you talk to the actual church members, you are talking to brick walls for the most part. But anyway, I'm not talking about the brick and mortar. See, the church likes to dance around. Well, at one point, the church is the brick and walls, because let us into our church, our church. And then at the next point, they dance around and say, well, we are the church. The church is not a local place. That we are the church. Then why the hell you fighting for the walls, the brick and mortar then, if you are the church?
Stop it right now.
I know that's rough. I don't like when he says that. That just hurts me. And he knows it hurts me. And he still says it. And that's not right.
Hold it right there.
Me, I'm going to say whatever I'm going to say. Now, if it hurts you, it is what it is. I don't mean to hurt you, though I do. I don't mean to make you mad, though I know it will. All I say is, when I say something rough, when I say something hard, or when it messes up your theology, take a breath, sit back, and just laugh it off. And if you can't laugh it off, then just get over it. Let's keep moving, okay? Don't let it bother you. Don't let it stop you. Either you laugh it off or you gasp it off. And then we keep moving, okay? The people are being divinely directed by God. The people of this movement are being moved in a divine direction. You politicians and President Trump, all you've been doing is sitting back and judging the direction that the people are going. But I heard God say to me, do not judge the direction of the people. Do not judge the direction that the people doing this movement are going. Do not judge their actions doing this movement. I know you see stuff being burned down. Do you know how many houses you all burned down during the Civil War? Do you know how many houses you burned down during slavery? Do you know how many houses you burned down and how many buildings you burned down in the Oklahoma stock market, or that section of Oklahoma and Tulsa, Oklahoma? How you burned down those people's town because they apparently became a threat to your system, to your desired world order? Do you know how many homes you burned down during the 50s and the 60s? Do you know how many buildings you burned down, how many schools and worship houses that you burned down? And now you have a problem that a few buildings are being burned down. Now you have a problem. Now, do I want to see stuff burned down? No. Do I want to see people destroy other people's heart? No. And I don't want to see nobody, black or white, shoot somebody 7 times in the back. And I don't want to see nobody, anybody, black or white, put his knee on a man's throat until the man is dead. And I don't want to see nobody, anybody, step into somebody's house, even if they have a search warrant or whatever else, go in and shoot up folk and kill an innocent woman. As far as we know, an innocent woman. And if she's not innocent, then bring forth the greater proof. And if she's not innocent, then stop hiding. And why did you have to lie to the grand jury? And why did you have to cover everything regarding the grand jury? If indeed it's true, if indeed she was guilty. So even as you don't want to see certain things, I don't want to see certain things either. God said, do not judge their actions. Do not judge their behavior, for their actions and their behavior are being divinely directed. Do you know, Mr. President, do you know, you tricky, icky politicians, do you know that you all had no problem in dismissing your own behavior in all of this? Do you know that in history, you all had no problem in dismissing all of the lynching that was going on, all of the burning of human bodies that was going on, the Emmett Tillman situation, the church that was bombed that killed the girls, those young girls in Alabama? Do you know you had no problem when Representative John Lewis was being beat on the head with a stick? You had no problems when you all were sicking dogs on folk. You had no problem when they were having sit-ins and you all were pouring drinks over people's heads and making mockery over people, black and white, over people sitting at a counter wanting equality. You had no problem with that. You didn't speak out against that. Not loudly. You didn't judge their actions. You didn't judge your own actions. You didn't make a whole bunch of anything when that, I think it was the college Kent, or the University Kent State, when the National Guard shot up folk there and killed them there. You had no problem necessarily with that. But now these are just a bunch of thugs. And we don't understand why this is happening. Why on earth would they be doing this? Why on earth are they not happy? Aren't they satisfied with the fact that we pulled them out of the back country of lions, tigers, and bears in Africa? Aren't they happy and proud of the fact that we serve them a religion that mainly benefits us? Aren't they happy with a system that all we require of you is to just shut up, dribble, and obey your masters, and don't seek to be a free slave? We gave you a book called the Bible that tells you that. If you all would just follow protocol. Protocol is a necessity. Can't we all just get along? Come on, guys. For their actions and their behavior, they're divinely directed. You do not have to agree with the people, God said. You don't have to agree with their actions or their behavior, nor do you have to understand them. You don't have to believe them. You don't have to agree. But what you don't want to do is judge them. And that's what we've been doing. If you don't understand them because you've always lived on that side of the track, on that side of your city, your town, in that location of your zip code, it is what it is. You don't have to agree with them necessarily. You don't have to agree with their actions, but don't sit back in your ivory towers and judge them either. It's not for you to judge. It's not for you to judge what they are doing. Well, we're the politicians. We're the ones in power. Yes, exactly. So why aren't you enforcing the laws on those who are actually breaking the law? Why aren't you going at them, Barr? Why aren't you going at them, President? Why aren't you politicians going at them? Why are you giving them a pass to do what they're doing? Why are you just sitting back in your ivory towers, letting things be as they have always been? It is not for you to judge what they are doing. It is not for you to judge what they are in this movement for. You don't know why people are in this movement for the most part, because you've never gone down to the grassroots of things to even get your feet dirty, to even get your hands germed up for shaking hands and trying to come together and figure some things out. Maybe you don't need to be shaking hands right now since the virus is here, but still, what I'm saying is their stirring is not of them. What is stirring these people up has nothing to do with them. These people, their stirring didn't originate from within them. This is something that was sparked in people, divinely sparked. You need to understand that and stop fighting against that. The universe has reached its end of tolerating. Let me say that again. The universe has reached its end of tolerating. The universe has reached its point of intolerance. No longer can the universe tolerate the viruses of our societies. The viruses that you politicians are helping to milk, to spread, to propagate, the universe can't take it anymore. You want the universe and all who encompasses the universe to just shut up and dribble silently. But no longer can the universe maintain its silence. The universe is screaming out against the viruses of our societies. The universe is responding to the injustices of the day. The injustices of this nation and the injustices of this world have created a cry throughout the world. The noise of the silent can no longer be silenced. You politicians, you current president, vice president, you cannot silence what is going on. The silence is no more. The noisiness that you politicians have been making for decades now reached a point where you're going to have to become silent. And now the voices of those who you kept silencing, putting on silent, are now going to have to come forth and speak forth that which they've once been stifled from speaking forth. The voices of those who are not for change are going to be silenced. So you politicians, those of you who have decided what side you're going to stand on, and you've decided what you will speak about and what you will bring before Congress and before the Senate and even before the Supreme Court, because you or if you have already decided upon what side you're on, what side of the argument you're going to be on, which is not necessarily the side of right or just or justness or justice or equality. If you have decided on the wrong side of things, I'm not saying what's the right side, what's the wrong side. I'm not going to say, well, one side is right and the other side is wrong necessarily across the board. It's individual, it's specific. But what I am saying is, if you are on that wrong side of things, of the arguments and the things that are put before you all as politicians to do something about, to act upon in a just and fair legal manner, then your voices are going to be snuffed out. You're getting ready to be removed from your positions. You're getting ready to be snuffed out by the voices of the people. The very people who you at one point were snuffing out, now they're going to in turn, snuff you out. In other words, the very seeds that you sowed are getting ready to be reaped by you. The universe is giving you back your state of karmatic activity. This is not a period for the noise of the noisy. Now, there is going to be noisiness because you politicians, you don't know how to shut up and dribble. You don't know how to shut up and just walk on out of your positions. So you're going to make noise. And the current president and vice president we have, neither do you. You don't know how to do it either. So you're going to make some noise because you have the mic after all. But your mic is slipping. Your mic is getting ready to drop. The noisy will make noise, but this is not the season for the noisy or the noise of the noisy. Your noise is going to be put to silence. This season is ordained for change, and so you're going to have to see the stirring and the unrest among those who you governed, who you were put into office by. Supposedly, those who oppose the issues of this season, these people are coming at you. You will oppose, but you just won't overcome. If I were you politicians, any of you who are any bit concerned about losing your position, being replaced, going to jail, prison, losing your status, losing your influence, losing your power, your authority. If I were you, it's probably too late. But if I were you, I would try to get on the side of right on these issues. I really would, but you don't have to? I mean, you're going to have to, but you don't have to because I said it. But anyway, they will not overcome the progress. You will not overcome the progress or the change that is going to occur in this season. And you politicians and President Trump and Vice President Pence, I need to say this to you. The violence in this season is going to increase. And as you see, it's all increased now. It's all where it's at now. I really don't even need to say that. We all see it for what it is now. But anyway, I'm just going to say what God stated to me when he stated to me. People will increase in their violence, and you will see violence increase at a level unheard of. And violence will begin to come forth from nowhere. You see where the violence is coming from, but you're going to begin to see it come from nowhere. It'll seem like it's just popping up from nowhere. For what reason? Why? Why are these people doing these things? What is wrong with those guys? No, guys, can't we please calm down and let's just talk this out? Let's just hash things out. We'll split it 20-80. I mean, come on, guys. That's a bigger jump from where you were. Never mind the fact we were already at 81, 19, percent. But anyway, violence will occur from places where there are no confrontations. People will be confronted with violence for no apparent reason. There will be no basis for the violence that will occur. As far as we can see, no basis. There will be no rhyme or reason for some of this stuff that's popping forth. As we would see from our human perspective, understand this, those of you who are in office, public office, people will increase in their protests. People will protest in greater numbers. The people who protest will be in greater numbers than what the police will be able to mishandle. Because, the police is always wanting to mishandle. The numbers of the people will outnumber the numbers of the police. In other words, we are moving into an era. We are moving into a point where the numbers of the people will outnumber the numbers of the police. The people will prevail over the police. The police will have to give way to the people. And I know we are a place of law and order. Why is it that the ones who break the law at the greatest extreme at the head of the law and the enforcement of the law? How can you ever be lawless and yet enforce the law? Unless, of course, you mirror the church in your hypocrisy, in your contradictions. There will be nothing that the President of the United States can do about any of this. He will be bound to the White House. He will be bound by the people. He will be forced by the people. Very interesting. Let's see how that plays out. The President of the United States will lose his powers against the people. He will be powerless against the people. He will become powerless. His position will become powerless. His position will lose its influence. Understand this, you politicians. This whole uproar season is being orchestrated, not by the people and not by you politicians or you Mr. President, Vice President. This whole eventful period is being dictated to by God. It is God who is dictating this movement. It is God who is dictating this season. It is God who is dictating the shifting that you are in position, unable to govern. God is dictating the movements of this shift, this shifting. It is God who is behind this racial movement. It is God who is with the movement that is occurring. It is God who is within the movement that is occurring. This is not a season that is being brought forth by man. This is not something that you could hush up, that you can beat over the head with a billy club. This is not something that the RoboCops can take care of. This is not something that the thugs of the legal system can shoot out, kill out, and then claim I was fearful for my life. How is you fearful for your life when you the one got the gun? How is you fearful for your life when you the one got law enforcement bullets that normal people can't even get? How is you fearful for your life when you're the one who has almost a whole country behind you, a whole country of folk that's got guns behind you with a badge? How are you fearful when you're the one who has the attorney general and the president and the vice president on your side? How are you fearful when you're the one who gets pardoned and charges never get placed on you, or even if they are placed on you, they never stick? How are you fearful? How is that? Oh, I'm sorry. You're fearful that if President Trump and Vice President Pence are no longer in office, when you do your dirty, then they won't be there to pardon you, or they won't be there to get on their bullhorns and scream foul play, foul play. Oh, and then they won't be in the ear of the Attorney General. And in fact, the Attorney General, William Barr, won't even be there anymore. Oh, yeah, I think you better fear. I think you should, yeah. Yeah, I don't think you better shoot too many more people, but I think you better fear. I think that's something to fear. Man is not manipulating the events of this season. Man is not producing the movement and uproar of this season. But the movement and uproar of this season are being produced by God. This racial movement, you politicians, you in politics, you in the White House, you in the state houses, you need to notice in your governing positions on the city council and those you mayors. Listen, this racial movement is due to the uncovering that is going forth in this season. This movement is in history is due to the uncovering that God is doing. Deep uncovering. Deep, call it into deep. We trying to pull some stuff up. We need to pull this stuff up. It's rooted. It keeps producing its ugly fruit. This season is a season that everything is being uncovered. You guys, you have no covering in this season. You politicians, you're being unveiled. You're being exposed. Everything about you is being exposed. It's being brought to the point of its utter exposure. It is being brought into the forefront of the people. I know you politicians, you're wanting the people to just give the legal system time to work. Just give things time to work. Just give things, if we could just have to, no. This is not a season where the people ought to be passive. This is not a passive period in history, God said. Passivity is not what history will record regarding this season. There was nothing passive about the manner in which you all who are in power, you all who are in politics, there was nothing passive about how you got to this point, how we in this divided stolen states of America from the Indians, how we got this far, how we got this country. Nothing about it was passive. There was nothing passive about all of those hundreds of years of slavery. There was nothing passive about how folk had to work out in the fields and suffer at your hands. There's been nothing passive how people are now in modern day slavery of all races, working in your factories, working in the factories that your lobbyists pay you to continue passing or keeping away laws, not passing laws that would require certain things, certain standards, and certain movements within these different industries to begin to treat their workers justly, fairly, and give them a living wage, not a minimum wage, but a living wage, an honest living wage, a wage that will put them somewhere in the boat of you. living in your communities next door to you. History will not record this time of history as a period of passiveness, so we might as well cut that out. Passivity is not the goal in this season. Understand that. It is not what is being achieved in this season or during this season. Listen, this is not a season where passivity will prevail over the racial movement that is going on. Passivity will not achieve its purpose during this season. This racial movement can't be passive. Nothing will be passive regarding this movement. This racial movement will not achieve its purpose through passivity. So you might as well put your pacifiers down. You might as well stop passing out pacifiers and go ahead on and start passing out righteousness and justice. Start passing out masks and gloves and sanitizers, because we're going to be here for a while. This is an active period. It's full of activity. It's full of activeness. It's full of activism, divine activism. You're not going to be able to pass laws and restrict people from their activism. This is a period where activists are being divinely summoned, divinely petitioned. And you politicians, you need to realize this. White House, you need to realize this. You governors' mansions, you need to realize this. You mayors, you need to realize. And if you're not in the current, you're against the current, and you're going to be ran over by the current. Because, see, the whole world is in a shift. You politicians, we've been getting on your boat forever, and look where it's gotten us. You need to get on the boat that's being divinely placed before you. Now, you don't have to get on the boat. Some of you, it's too late to get on the boat. You already out of here. You just don't know it. Even in the Bible, you had Saul being rejected as king 20 years after he was a king. And then David being anointed as king, yet never became actual ruling king until 20 years later, after Saul was ordained or after Saul was rejected. So Saul had already spent 20 years, and then he spent another 20 years being rejected. Listen, some of you have already spent your last 20 years of being rejected in your office. You're not gonna go another swing. You're getting out of here. You're like baseball. You're out of here. You're gone. I know President Trump liked to say that. You're out of here. You're fired. Well, he prophesied to you, but you didn't want to listen. So it is what it is. The activism period that you are witnessing is not a period of man's doing. Man did not activate this period into being. This period was not activated by man, but rather man was birthed into this period. Man was ushered into this period. Man was ordained into this period. This period is ordained for those who are here. This is an ordained period in history. This is an ordained period for those who are here. Listen, those who are here in this period making this proper noise is because they are meant to be in this period. You don't get to choose, politicians, who you snuff out, who you shut up, who you stifle, who you bring to court and try to put a gag order on. This is an ordained period for those who are here. This is a period of ordained historical proportions. Those of you who are in office, you will be judged harshly by history. You will be in the history annuals forever and ever, whatever that means. No other period in history will have recorded what this period of history will record. This period of history will record events that have never been recorded and that will never be recorded. In other words, this period in history is going to record things that you have never, ever seen recorded, heard of, even happening. The events of this season will be of great historical proportions. And those of you who are in the political arena, you will be in those history books. For what reason? Only time will tell. This will not be a short period either. This will not be something that you politicians will just deal with and shut up for a minute and then go back to doing just what you do. No. You're not going to push this to the side. You're not going to be able to brush it off like you did the Mueller report and like you did everything else. No. There will be no shortness in this season. This will be a lengthy season. This will be a season of great length. The length of this season will be greater than other seasons. This will not be a short movement. Well, if we just put them all back to work, and if we just lift everything and just make everybody go back to work, despite the fact of the virus, if we could just get them out of here. No. This will be an extended movement. Don't matter. Listen, the pandemic is not going to allow you to open up everything to push everybody back into position. Oh, and did you forget that the pandemic already shut down certain businesses and put people out of business? Oh, did you not realize a few of those CEOs died? CEOs of those businesses where many of these people were employees at, that they died? Do you not realize that many of the employees that were there died? What are you talking about? Where are you going to send them? You don't need another White House, so they can't be your slaves and build another one of those for you. What are you going to do with them? You can't bring them to your home and build something greater there. We don't have the things that we once had. We don't have the supplies that we once had. What are you going to do? You're going to sit down and you're going to dribble, just like LeBron James was told, but you're going to dribble, you're going to sit down and you're going to sob and cry. And you're going to dribble like a little spoiled baby who can't find your pacifier. Because your pacifier is being divinely snatched from you right now. This will be a movement of great intensity. There will be many disruptions during this season. So you politicians, you've always disrupted things. Well, this is a season that is filled with disruptive movements. Many disruptive movements within this season. Many. And those movements are going to bring changes. Changes that you didn't have a spine to change. Changes that you chose not to put up, to bring before the council, before the committee, before the board, before Congress, before the Senate, before the Supreme Court. Changes that you refuse to bring before the president. There will be many disruptive movements of changes, movements of change throughout this season. This season is filled with movement. This season is about movement. This season is about things being moved. I am moving things during this season. I am rearranging things in this season. I am shuffling things in this season. I am changing the order of things during this season. The order of politics as usual. The order of presidential affairs as usual. God is changing things. And just know this, going back to it again, the racial movement is meant to disrupt. It's meant to disrupt the systems that exist. This movement is meant to disrupt the social systems that racism has corrupted. This movement will disrupt the corruption of systems. This movement will disrupt the corruption that systems are built upon. You say, well, why do you keep talking about the racial movement? It's not because I'm black. Somebody say, I didn't know this guy was black. Hey, I don't listen to those people. I don't listen to their podcasts. I don't listen to their bullshit. Well, I'm sorry. I thought you would pick it up by my slang. Well, it is what it is. I'm black. I can't do nothing about it. I'm black and I can't go back. So it is what it is. I hope that don't stop you from listening, but it is what it is. You're still not going to stop this movement. The reason why I keep talking about the racial movement, because I gave you the date that God gave me this here. It was June 3rd, 2020. June 3rd, 2020 was when all of this racial movement and all of these protests, that was right around the time that it began. I didn't even know what was going on. All I said to God is this change? Is this just another one of those moments of noise, and then everything's gonna go back to normal, and when people just spinning their wheels? And that's when God birthed this message to me right here. This racial movement and this day that he gave me this was the longest one that he gave me in all 22. This racial movement will disrupt and be disruptive. Corrupt enterprises will be brought to the light. You will be the most affected by the disruption of this period. God is going to disrupt all those areas, even in politics. All of those areas that are corrupt. Corruption of every sort will be exposed and dealt with. Not just exposed, but dealt with as well. This is not a period where people and things are simply being exposed, but rather this is a period where what is being exposed will be dealt with. This season will disrupt corruption throughout the world, but definitely here in this divided states of stolen America. The disruption upon the corruption will be seen throughout the entire world. We, the United States, will be on center stage, showing forth our corruption showing forth our individual corruptness. And then corruptness, the corruption, the corrupted will be brought to justice. The world will see its corruptness be dealt with severely. The things that are being exposed in this season won't be swept under the rug. No longer will it be swept under the rug. People will not be able to dismiss what is being exposed in this season. They won't be able to deny the things that will be exposed. Those things will no longer be dismissed or denied. Well, as you see, police officers are being exposed. Videos coming forth from months prior, a year and a half prior to any of this June stuff happening, now miraculously coming forth, being exposed, being brought forth by the media regarding police brutality, police shootings that were never tried, that no one was ever charged, that no one was ever anything, and folk were just doing what they were doing and covering it all up, and no one knew. Well, some knew, but the ones who mattered in those cases, did not know. Isn't that something? It's all being exposed, just as I am telling you. Now, I'm going to read one more section of this here before I pull out of here on this one. The presidency began the process of this disruptive season. The disruption of this season began with you, master preacher, master presenter, master businessman. President Trump, your presidency began the divine disruptive process. You said that you were coming to drain the swamp. Well, there are verses in the Bible that speaks of, the people coming to do harm to someone else, and all they did was expose themselves and then ended up doing harm to themselves, or enemies of Israel rising up against Israel and then end up fighting amongst themselves and killing themselves. It seems like, sir, that's what has happened since you've gone to the White House. You have drained the swamp, but in doing so, you've literally drained yourself and your buddies right on up out of there. And that's a trip. Well, that's some, that's some double work, and that's a double-edged sword. I mean, on one side of the sword, you cut everything down, but when that sword swung back, looks like it's cutting all of you all down now. The disruption of this season began with the 2016 presidency. The disruption that is occurring in this season began with the presidency of the United States. God says the 2016 presidency was a disruptive process. The 2016 presidency disrupted the world. The 2016 presidency disrupted the world's systems. It disrupted the systems of this world, the systematic workings of this world, the systemic workings of this world, the systemic racisms of this world, the systemic economic inequalities of this world. It disrupted the legal injustices of this world. Or should I say the illegal injustices of this world. It disrupted the nations and even societies. The 2016 presidency disrupted the world's economy. It disrupted the economic systems of this world. It disrupted the political systems. It disrupted the health systems. It disrupted the legal systems. It disrupted the religious systems. It disrupted religion itself. It disrupted homes and relationships. The world was disrupted, Mr. President, by your presidency. You would take pride in this, I'm sure. Your followers would take pride in this for sure. I am not against your followers and I'm not against you. However, I am against injustice and wrong. I'm against that. And for that, sir, I must say the things that I say. The disruption of the 2016 presidency has continued for the past 4 years now. The past 4 years, God speaking these words, have been filled with utter corruption. Corruption has reached its peak. Corruption has come to its full term. Corruption has run its course. Mr. Trump, Mr. Pence, Mr. Tricky Icky, Squirmy Wormy Pence, in the sense that you are so stealthy that you are the greatest stealth fighter in politics, perhaps. You have a sway. You have a smooth method, sir, but it's slithery. It's snaky, and that has to be called out because it's not right. And you project upon others that which is true about you and your administration. And that, sir, is not correct, because the Bible talks about calling right wrong and calling that which is just as being unjust, convicting and condemning the righteous amongst the unrighteous, the good amongst the bad. I don't like those terms, but since Mr. Pence, you claim to have dealings with the man of cloth, the church world, then I have to deal with you on terms that you can understand if truly indeed you even read the book that was sold to us all. Not saying that the book in itself is wrong, because the book in itself is not, because God works in what God works in and through. And I know that God worked through that book. Yet at the same time, I know that that book is missing a whole lot of stuff and has been misinterpreted or miswritten, misquoted by those who were given the authority to even put that book together and make it speak the things that it now speaks to us, that keeps confusion and division and strife and discord and hatred and resentment and racism live and vibrant. So I have a problem with all of that. And it seems as though God does too now. He's reached the point. All of this has reached its peak. The corruptness of it all is now being brought forth. And you politicians You are the ones who have kept the systems working as they were systematically or systemically designed to. And that's why you refuse to pass laws and regulations that would change a lot of this, because then that would remove the oil from your systems, and your systems won't flow the way that they once flowed, and they won't produce the things that they were designed to produce, and things would not work for you all. It will work against your favor, as it begins to then would begin to work in the favor of those who need the most, who are in need the most, in need of righteousness, in need of justice, in need of equality, in need of better jobs, in need of better housing, better health care, better politicians. But that's getting ready to come forth. Hold your horses, because we're not through with that. We have more to go on this here. Until the next one.